Well, the rest of the world thinks that the Christmas season is over. But we all know that we continue to celebrate it. And we continue to try and grow in understanding its meaning. And today's gospel, although I think it's very familiar to us, can take us further into the meaning of this season by showing us that it is about a clash of kings and kingdoms. This gospel poses for us the challenging question: which king and which kind of kingdom do we serve? Which do we believe in? Which do we devote our energy to? So I want you for a moment just to picture the magi walking through the Damascus gate of the walled city of Jerusalem as evening approaches. It's raining. There's no one on the streets in Jerusalem. And suddenly, they see Herod's fortress made of gray and black stone. It's enormous. And overhead, seemingly over the top of the castle, are these dark, foreboding clouds. And you can hear the kind of tense music playing as they approach the fortress gate. You can sense that they're approaching danger as they knock on that enormous fortress door. And an old, angry man in dark clothes answers the door. Now, this whole scene shifts to a clear, quiet night. Little stars out. But there is one large, bright, strange star shining beautiful light on this small wooden house. And you can see inside there's a mother, there's a husband, and there's an infant. And you can hear the music. It's light, it's joyful, it's beautiful. And back at the fortress, back at the dark fortress, as the magi stand at the door in the rain, Herod approaches. More terrifying music. And when they ask about the newborn king, about Herod's new infant son, Herod's face shockingly appears filled with terror and fear and worry. And then we see people in the city of Jerusalem coming out into the streets in a panic. Dark clouds cover the whole city because these people are greatly troubled. There's word of a newborn king, and his star has been seen. The Magi leave the darkness of Jerusalem and they follow the star, and as they see the star over this house, they are filled with joy. All that fear and terror they were sensing around Herod's fortress is gone, and they are filled with a sense of wonder and peace and delight. And as they enter the house and see this child, they bow down and they worship him. Meanwhile, back in the fortress, Herod is planning to kill that child and every boy under the age of 2 in Bethlehem. So much for the movie. Now, question. Why is the most powerful and dangerous man in Israel, Herod the Great, afraid of a little child? Why would he be so threatened that he seeks to kill this child now? It's not because Jesus says be nice to your neighbor. You don't get killed for telling people to be nice. Why was Jesus such a threat to Herod? I think until we get our minds around that, we do not understand the gospel. Herod understood it. He just rejected it. You see, Herod was not from the royal line of David, as Jesus was. And just as David was born in Bethlehem, so was Jesus. And just as in the book of Deuteronomy, a rising star was the sign that the true Davidic king was coming, a star appears over Jesus' house, not over Herod's castle. You see, the promised Messiah king was about to rule all nations. No wonder Herod was so threatened. A new king, a new kingdom was coming to replace his, and he knew it. Herod understood, I think, better than we do, that Jesus coming means regime change. You see, Christmas, my friends, is about a clash of kings and kingdoms. It's about a clash of very different worldviews, of very different worlds. I think so many Christians seem to want to reduce the Christian life to the interior life, the interior life is very important, but to reduce it to that is not to understand the gospel. It's not to understand Christmas. Some Christians get uncomfortable when there's talk of connecting the gospel to social or political issues. And it's okay to talk about sin as long as it's sex. But if you mention racism, or corporate or political greed, or climate change, people somehow get uncomfortable because they don't think those two things should be brought together. They haven't understood that the coming of God's kingdom means everything will change. Everything. It means God is becoming king and not another Herod. It means God's promises of peace and justice are coming true, and the ways of violence and war and injustice are on the way out. So our world, my friends, is faced with a choice. Do we want the kind of world that the Herods create, or the world that King Jesus is creating? In Herod's world, the wealthy and powerful are given priority and exploit everything for their own gain. It's a violent world. It's a heartless and cruel world where the single mother, the foreigner, the person of color are used or mocked or ignored. The world that King Jesus seeks to create is very different, and it's the one that's on display in his ministry. Remember how he touched and healed the shunned leopard? Remember how he welcomed the hated tax collector? Remember how he healed the daughter of the Canaanite woman, a foreigner? How he fed the hungry? In the world that King Jesus seeks to create and wants all of us to be a part of, that single mother, that homeless child, that immigrant fleeing violence are given top priority. It's a world of compassion and justice, peace and love, where every person is respected and cared for. So watch the magi, because they are us. We are them. They had to choose which king they would worship and serve. At first, they listened to Herod and went to Bethlehem in service of him. But when they encountered the beauty of Jesus, when they began to worship him and adore him, they changed their minds and their lives. They chose to serve Jesus and worship his kingdom. They went home another way. And we, my friends, have to choose that other way. This is the choice our world has to make. This is the choice that Christmas poses. It's the choice our church must make. It's the choice we must keep making. So which kingdom do you serve and promote? Merry Christmas, everybody.